This is just a fun video showing the process of me working on Mike's intake system. He's currently using my bumper intake duct to run cold air directly to his factory airbox using one of my prototype adapters that connects a 3-inch pipe to the inlet at the bottom. He wants to get rid of the airbox and the Spectre flexible hose and replace it with a K&N Apollo like I have. I replaced the backing on the filter housing with a 3D printed one using ASA filament because the original backing only has a 2 3/4 outlet and we needed to fit a 3-inch pipe. The other option was to use a reducer coupler, but I wanted to keep the diameter as consistent as possible. He also picked up this aluminum Toyota mass airflow sensor adapter, though the hole looks a little big on it and there's some weird staining here, but let's see if it'll work. Mike has to remove the airbox cover just to take out the mass airflow sensor because the strut bar is sitting over top of it. Since the TRD strut bar sits forward a few inches, it makes this entire process difficult. It also looks like it makes unplugging the harness harder. I feel like I should help him.
It was a pain the last time.
So, not only was the hole too big, but it was 90 degrees off. We want to get this installed today, so we're going to have to find a solution locally. We found the Spectre 8705 MAF sensor mount at Advanced Auto. It's ABS plastic, unlike the aluminum one Mike got. It comes with a plastic coupler collar, which we're not using, and 3 adapters for multiple sensor configurations, along with seals. I think this is the Toyota one here. Oh, and this should be a seal for the coupler. So, none of those adapters actually worked with the MAF sensor, so I had to quickly design and 3D print one. One revision later, and here we are. If I put the original one next to it, you can see I duplicated the channel for the rubber seal. Now to continue working outside and remove these 3 bolts to get the rest of the airbox out. Mike's removed his bumper to clean up some wiring, so let's take advantage and look at the backside. He's using a Spectre 8741 air duct hose, which doesn't have the best airflow. The K&N hose is a vast improvement. I'm going to take the old hose and quick disconnect coupler off and replace it with this new one that I 3D printed. The shallow end is going to slip over the back of the duct like this, while the hose gets pushed into this side. The filter housing coupler slips inside the other end of the hose. This side installed pretty easily. It was a combination of pushing the hose in while screwing the coupler clockwise. The other end was a huge pain to get the hose over the edges of the coupler, but once you do, you can also push and screw it on until the end of the hose disappears into the channel. Mike's got the bumper back on, and I have the intake mostly assembled and the flexible hose connected, but I don't like how close the front of the filter is sitting next to the ECU bracket, so I'm going to shorten the silicone coupler here so I can move the filter up a little. I wrapped 1-inch painter's tape around the end as a guide. Then I just cut straight down with the utility blade while rotating the coupler. Alright, now we're ready to reinstall it. Perfect. Now it might not look like much, but this should be enough space since it's about the same clearance on my setup. I'm glad we used my 3D printed backing, because if we used the original one, we wouldn't have been able to trim the reducer coupler down because of the middle section here. If you want to do a similar setup on your TC, your best bet is to use a short ram intake pipe so you can eliminate the need for a MAF housing, which should shorten the overall length and may also allow you to use the original backing with a reducer coupler. Now for the MAF adapter. It should install facing this direction. I'm using the supplied screws to attach it to the housing, but reusing the Toyota screws for the sensor. And here it is installed. It does extend a little over the clamp, but there's just enough space. I almost forgot this little trick. I added 4 pieces of electrical tape around the front of the filter to give the coupler more grip. This fixed an issue with the coupler vibrating off over time in my car. I also installed this extra guide I printed to keep the hose in place and to help prevent it from rubbing on the underside of the wiring harness. We've already tested the intake and got no check engine lights. If the battery's been disconnected, the car may stall out the first time you start it up, but it'll be fine afterwards. Alright, so the engine's already been warmed up, so let's give it a couple of revs. No issues on our test drive either, and the engine seems more responsive according to Mike. That took longer than expected, but it was a fun day, and Mike really likes his new intake system. I hope this gives you some ideas if you're trying to do something similar. If you haven't hit subscribe to my channel yet, please do so now, and as always, thank you for watching.